Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Sasha Filipova. I'm the senior staff attorney for the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. We, together with the Haitian Women's Collective and Haitian feminist organization Negas Mawon, are the co-sponsors for this wonderful event focused on organizing for and by Haiti's women and girls. We're so thankful you're here with us today for this important conversation. Before I hand it over to our amazing panel, I just wanted to flag that we have interpretation into Haitian, Creole, and French today. For that reason, our interpreters are not in the room. We ask everyone to speak with some deliberation, just so our interpreters can keep up. We will leave some time at the end for Q&A and really encourage you to ask your questions for this wonderful panel. You can log on to the Zoom that you will need to get interpretation through this QR code. There are also written instructions if you need them. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon. Hi everybody. Bonjour, bonsoir. I'm happy to see all of you here and thank you for your time. I know that this is Friday. It's been a long week for many of us. I'm Karine Jocelyn. I'm the founder of the Haitian Women's Collective. The Haitian Women's Collective is not a direct service provider. Our work is really to amplify the voices of Haitian women-led organizations, talk about the issues of philanthropy or doing philanthropy better in Haiti. And this year we will launch the first feminist fund in the Caribbean for Haitian women, Haitian women-led organizations. So thank you, and thank you so much to Sasha and IJDH for their continued leadership and allyship in the work that we do, certainly putting this together, getting us to this final point here. So we're very grateful for them. I'd like to take this opportunity now to really review the I guess, goals and objectives of this panel today and what the panelists will be sharing. Our goal for this conversation is to really focus on how to enable transformation of policies, politics, and practices, while also looking at how to decrease violence and discrimination against Haitian women and girls. We have interpreters, so I'm trying to be slow. I am a native New Yorker, so I apologize. I just thought of that. We also want to be able to look at the effective participation of women in political and public spaces and the centering of a feminist agenda, very important to us. So now we're going to spend a bit of time talking about the specifics of the present crisis, but it's important to have it as a context and really talk about, I know that many of you here are probably here because you're interested in Haiti, know of Haiti, maybe worked in Haiti, connected to Haiti, support Haiti in some way. And obviously at this time, the country is going through and the people of Haiti are going through a very challenging time. We see high levels of gender-based violence and especially sexual violence affecting primarily women and girls. The judicial system is basically dysfunctional at this time. Women and girls have heightened violence due to migration within the country and displacement within the country. Those of you who live in the US or in New York certainly know there's quite a bit of migration out of Haiti into New York and Boston and Florida. Underlying discrimination is rooted and requires really long-term organizing, which many of these organizations here do so well at. And really the fragility of the government clearly leads to continued violence against women and girls, and it seems very little attention being paid to them. So I'll take a minute to ask each panelist to take 60 seconds. I know they do amazing work and their organizations are fabulous and they're wonderful leaders, but just giving them each 60 seconds to introduce yourself and your organization, what your organization does and how you're engaged with Haitian women and girls. So I will pass it to Natalie first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Vielcre. I'm the co-founder and first coordinator general of Marichan, which is a young feminist organization based in Haiti. We work on gender-based violence, climate justice, sexual and reproductive health. We do also a lot of advocacy on abortion rights in Haiti and women representation. It's really nice to see you all here. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Susan Joseph. I am the co-founder and the current executive director of 100% Femmes. We mainly work in terms of program with farmers women, and mostly in the really isolated area like Ilavache or Ile de la Tortue. As you know, these women, they are facing multiple and multi-dimensional challenges, and the stakes are always higher for us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pascal Soulage. I am the co-founder and general coordinator of a feminist organization based in Haiti, Neges Mao. We are working in gender-based violence, reproductive justice, advocacy for abortion, the decriminalization of abortion in Haiti, and also reproductive health. In Haiti, we are working also on political representation of women in the country, so thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. My name is Laura Nyirinkinti. I'm the chair of the UN Working Group on Discrimination Against Women and Girls. Our working group has been engaging on the Haiti issue. We have sent official communications to the government on human rights violations against women and girls, issued press releases and public statements, but we've also documented their situation in our recent country visit to the Dominican Republic, where we raised the issues, and you will see that in our report. And I really look forward to the discussion today.
Thank you so much. Before continuing, I do want to just highlight two of our partners and friends, two organizations in the room, Haiti Adolescent Girls Network, Miriam Narcisse, as well as Fondation Toya, Nadine Lewis, who's also in the front. All partners and friends, and we all work very well together around all of these issues. So thank you so much for being here. So my first question actually goes to Natalie. I mentioned a little bit about kind of what's going on in Haiti or what we see in the news and so forth. I think for the group here, it'd be great for you to set the scene of women's rights opportunities and challenges in Haiti. I mean, we all have our notes in front of us, and sometimes I think data is important. Research is absolutely important, but I think that sense of what's really going on. What is it like day to day for women and their families living in Haiti?
Thank you, Karen. I think what we are seeing right now in Haiti is really a regressing of Haitian and girls' rights in the country. And I'm always gonna be unapologetic on saying that it's under the watch of the international community. And I think by supporting corrupt leaders, having no agenda, and they can be complice also on what's going on. So Haiti signed a key agreement on gender equality, including CEDA in 1981, Willem de Para in 1996. And we see that systemic discrimination is still persists in the country, even if we have tools that can help us prevent that. So women marginalized in economic, political, and social sphere, facing widespread violence, abuse, rape, and harassment, and feminicide. So today we talk about data, and I think it's really important to know exactly what's happening and what key data that we have. Today, according to OEM, we have more than 1 million people internally displaced, seeking refugees in camp in Haiti. We don't have any war with anyone. but despite we don't have a healthcare system, judicial system, or state structure who I can say can prepare to for such catastrophic. So for me, it's really important to highlight that this regression of right that I spoke earlier, restorative justice is not a priority. Leaving survivor with little hope and of ever seeing like their aggressor brought to justice. Law enforcement agency and judicial system are often corrupt and deeply patriarchal, creating like a system that fails, I think, to protect survivors in Haiti. And in organization like ours, young feminist organization who are continuing to fight, and we've been seeing that a lot without any resources, without any help from the state. It's really an important thing to highlight also. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Susan, I know that, everyone, you have people who are your go-to, so I go to each of them for certain things, I guess. So Susan's area is about, the question is about what's the history of successful mobilization for women's rights in Haiti? What were elements of success? What were some of the impediments, and maybe even speaking to what you see as the challenges to that to move us forward?
I'll say, now that you just mentioned the Belém Power and the ratification, let's say Haitian feminists have always been in the front lines fighting for women's rights and make sure that Haitian government have structure to guarantee that women's and girls have their rights respected. Unfortunately, Haitian government have always failed to create those structures or to feed the structure in terms of funding or in terms of policy structure to allow us to move forward. Not to go that far, I'll take it from the 1990, right after the Jovenel State military coup in September 30, 1990. The feminists were the first one, and during 8 months, they collect data on the multiple human rights against women. And what they did with these data and the support for feminist organizations around the world, particularly from Canada, they pushed the international community to document the use of sexual assault of this purpose and raise awareness for Haitian women among this issue. And once the military rule in 1994 ended and the deployment of the multinational military force, the Haitian feminists occupied the space. They have wins the fact that they create the Ministry of Women's Status and Women's Rights. The executive goes on November 1894, and then themselves, not the leaders at the time, themselves, they sat down and worked the support to create a law to support the ministry itself. And on August 11, 1995, we got the ministry. There's so much have been done. The ratification of the Belém do Pará, the ratification of the Beijing Conference in 1995. One of the things that I think it's really important to notice in our current situation is the fact that they have the investigation by the National Truth and Justice Commission in 1994 to 1996, where they forced the Haitian government, the Haitian leaders, and the international community to admit the crimes against women, the sexual crimes against women during the military coup. And organized the symbolic International Tribunal Against Violence Against Women in 1997. Of course, we had so much win after that. I can talk about the CONAP, the denunciation of rape perpetrated by the soldiers of the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, and obtain recognition of the fact from the UN that these acts happened
and we need justice for them. And unfortunately, what happened is the follow-up. Haitian government still failed Haitian women. Even we do all this work, the follow-up haven't been done. Even the Ministry of the Status of Women and the Women's Rights itself have never have put any step to follow up for those things. So I'll start by with the adoption of the third national plan to combat violence against women, 2017 to 2027. We have the plan. We develop the plan. We submit the plan. We advocate for the plan. And still, unfortunately, we never have any Haitian government or leaders that said, okay, let's allow this, let's implement it, let's vote for this. So I'll stop right here, just because we have win. And we have win because at the time, fellow feminist organizations across the world, at a time or another, support Haitian feminist organization.
Thank you so much. I often try, when I speak about Haitian or Haitian women in general, to really come from a positive approach. Often, we talk in such a deficit way. They're poor, they don't have water, and their kids are not going to school. Meanwhile, right, during a coup or after a coup, look at what they were able to do, right? Look at all of the struggle and the difficulties, and yet they were able to stand up, and they went out and collected data. Nobody told them to go out and collect data, right? They're smart enough, and they certainly know what to do. So I just wanted to highlight that as well. So Laura, thank you for joining us today. We're very happy to have you here. The crisis, of course, it's awful, right? We can talk about how this is a moment of transformation. Perhaps you can share an example for us in Haiti of a model that can be duplicated or leveraged. Social disruption might be a part of that, but also just thinking about the transition, because Haiti is going through a continuous political transition. I'm always continuously trying to figure out who the president is, the president of the month or the quarter. I don't know. It's hard to keep up, but you understand. So how can that be done in a manner that is also decolonized and deracialized, right? And that is equitable to Haitians?
Thank you so much, and it's been very insightful listening to the panelists that have spoken before me. The working group has consistently emphasized that the needs of women and girls must be prioritized during crisis, as political transitions offer both opportunities for advancement of women and girls' rights, but also risks of regression. So this calls for really heightened vigilance at all times. And a good example of a country that has dealt with this issue and overcome is Rwanda. We call it Rwanda, maybe the West they call it Rwanda, but it's Rwanda. Following the 1993 genocide, I don't know if you were aware that they had a terrible genocide in which women were, disproportionately targeted for sexual violence. It demonstrates how a crisis can be transformed into an opportunity to enhance women's leadership. The women in Rwanda played a pivotal role in the transitional process, with women's organization facilitating reconciliation dialogue within the communities. There were also government-led dialogues to address troubled colonial legacies, because this played a huge part in the conflict. And many women stepped forward as victims and witnesses, and it takes courage and resilience. But it also can lead to gender-responsive justice in truth-telling processes. And many of them served as judges in the courts. And although the process was not flawless, their active participation established a strong foundation for women's leadership across the board in all areas of public life in the post-genocide period. And I'll give a few examples. Since the 2000s, Rwanda has made notable progress as the country rebuilds its society, and with emphasis on inclusivity and equal, and I use the word equal representation. We are tired of equity. We want equal gender parity representation. So in 2003, Rwanda adopted a highly gender responsive constitution and established a minimum quota of 30%. Let's just say that 30% is the minimum standard of the Beijing Declaration. for women in decision-making positions within the government. But as we speak today, Rwanda boasts the highest percentage of women parliamentarians in the world at 60%. And the country has gender parity in cabinet. 50-50 women and men in cabinet. In 2023, women held key positions in the ministries, including foreign affairs, justice, and health ministries. Since 2003, so it's important to have women in decision-making processes so that they can make gender-responsive laws, policies, budgets, right? Otherwise, then we're just having tokenism and window dressing, okay? So in Rwanda, we can see the results of having women in decision-making in enhanced roles. Since 2003, numerous legal reforms have been enacted to guarantee equal rights for women and men, especially in the areas of inheritance, land rights, family law, and the criminalization of gender violence. But unfortunately, these situations are quite rare, especially after a crisis. And especially in this moment of global gender backlash, we've been talking about that all week. We observe a troubling trend of increasing marginalization of women and girls during political transitions and peace negotiations. For instance, the proportion of reference to women and girls in peace agreements has decreased from 31% in 2020 to 26% in 2023, meaning that the outcomes of peace processes and negotiations rarely mention girls by 5%. Furthermore, women remain chronically underrepresented in transitional and peace negotiation processes. In 2023, women made up only 9.6% of negotiators, 13.7% of negotiators, and 26.6% of signatories to peace agreements and ceasefire agreements on average. This trend is also evident in Haiti, where all 7 voting members of the current transitional presidential council are men, despite the constitutional requirement for at least 30% women involvement in all public position. And what this means is that it significantly undermines the chances of achieving lasting peace. We know about the Women, Peace and Security agenda that the United Nations has tried to form since 2000. We're celebrating 25 years now. There is a reason for that, because there can be no lasting peace when you leave out half of humanity. My colleagues say governments can fail. That is the bottom line. Governments can fail, and we have to be watchful. We recognize that merely electing or appointing women to public and political office is insufficient. Evidence indicates that women in those roles do not automatically advocate for gender equality agendas. They can, but it's not automatic. In fact, significant progress towards equality between men and women occurs when there is a wide range of women's engagement and activism in political and public life, including all state institutions, diverse civil society organizations, and varied public discourse. Empowering grassroots feminist movements is really critical for rebuilding peace and facilitating political transition in a decolonized, de-radicalized manner. However, the working group has recognized over the years that political transitions and state-building processes often create new vulnerabilities for women's rights movements. In fact, we have consistently observed that women human rights defenders, activists, and politicians frequently become targets of violence, harassment, and defamation, to say the least, both online and offline. And these threats are often intensified during periods of political transition. Any discourse or movement that seeks to discredit and exclude women's voices should be met with clear condemnation and pushback from both domestic and international stakeholders. Lastly, the working group believes that safeguarding civic space and freedoms is critical. We must call for stringent legal protection for the rights of freedom of expression, association, and assembly for both individuals but also civil society organizations, opposing any effort to undermine civic freedoms. Without respecting these rights, women and girls cannot meaningfully engage in dialogues that are important for shaping their futures of their nation and influence decision-making processes. Thank you.
Just a reminder for everyone to slow down a little bit. Thank
Oh, okay. I'm not the only New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. Okay. So much was said there, so much around equality and parity, and that without women being present, there's not a lot of solutions, I guess, right? We need them to be at the table. And you mentioned slightly a little bit about Haiti, and certainly we have a 30% also. And have we ever gotten to 3%, 5% of Haitian women involved in you know, political positions and so forth? 10%, maybe. We're still trying to figure that part out. However, this next question is for Pascal. We talked a lot about a lot of things, and certainly for many of us involved in different sessions this week around Haiti. And there are well-written policies and laws for Haiti. What does Haiti need to do in order to address endemic gender-based violence and empower women? Is there anything in particular for you about this being a moment of extreme crisis, government transition, that you think we should be taking into account?
We have to remember that what we are facing now in Haiti is, first of all, a governance issue. Yes, we can see all the aspects, all the consequences, the gangsterization, the violence against women, the displaced people, the impact on the economy, and the migration and everything. But the key reason is the governance issue. And yes, we need more policies, we need more laws, but I have to remind you that we signed so many international conventions. We have a decree for rape. Yes, we need a specific law for violence against women. We need policies against femicide. We need so many other kind of laws of policies. But the first thing we need in Haiti is a political will to address the problem. In this government of transition, with the ambition doing election in the country, with the ambition doing constitutional reform, with the ambition doing reform of the penal code, this same government in the country don't respect the constitution, because the same government doesn't respect the quota of minimum of 30% of women in the government. And you want to reform the constitution of a country, but you don't have the will to respect this same constitution. You don't have the will to dialogue, to have conversation with civil society, with feminist organization about how you can mobilize more resources, more people, more everything to address this crisis of GBV in the country. As Natalie said, we have for now more than 1 million of displaced people in the country, and more than half of those people, they are women and children. Where is the plan? Where are the resources? Where is the conversation, the collaboration between this government and the civil society, especially the feminist organization, to address this situation regarding the specific situation of women and girls? Yes, we need more policies, we need more texts, we need more laws, we need more conversation with the international community, but we need more institutions doing their work. We need institutions, state institutions, doing their work in the country. When we are seeing what happened with the Ministry of Women's Rights, by example, when we are seeing what happened with Ministry of Affairs Sociales in the country, by example, unfortunately, we don't see the real actions that we need. We don't see the mobilization of resources, of people, of expertise we need to address this crisis in the country. For now, by example, the response to the insecurity issues in the country is, by example, the multinational force. but where is the real agenda addressing the specific needs and the specific situation of women and girls in this response from the international community? Yes, we need to adapt what we have today as policies, as law, for the actual situation of women and girls, because the fact is, what we saw in 2018, by example, as civil society, as organization, and what we are doing as work today in 2025 is so different. And by example, we did assistance to survivors of GBV sexual violence, but it was, women coming from families having violence in domestic context, by example. But now we are facing situation when we, Marie-Jeanne, by example, Neges Mao, we're having hundreds of women coming in our organization, victims of gangs, and displaced at the same time. So it's a new situation for us. It's a new kind of challenge for the civil society, and we don't have enough resources, and even sometimes we have to be honest, the expertise to address the situation like that today. So what we need is to see that this government is really want to address the situation with what we need as solution for the women and the girls. And you can have all the policies, all the laws, all money, all resources you need. But if the Prime Minister, if this ministries, and if this international community, they don't want to find a concrete response and solution to the problem, we will not see the end of the problem. And this is why, as civil society, as feminist organization, we continue to advocate to push them to do their work. Sometimes it can seem that, we are always complaining, but it's our work. We have to do pressure. We have to push them to take their responsibility, because the money they have, the privileges they have, it's from the money of the people. It's from my tax money. It's from the millions of people in the streets. So with this kind of resources and privileges, you have to have a response. It's not my role, it's not my place, it's not my responsibility as civil society. It's yours as state. Yes, I can do my part because I'm mobilizing money and people to help as civil society. But the real response, the real responsibility is the responsibility of the state. So as a feminist organization, we have to continue to be in place to remind all people in power in all kind of institutions that they decide, they have the capacity to do the work, they took the job, the position to address the situation, and they have this responsibility to have an answer for us. You can be in media, you can be, in all kind of places complaining as me, as a citizen, You're supposed to have an answer for me. So we will continue as civil society to advocate, to push the people in power, the Prime Minister, the CPT, the Conseil, Presidential Council. And we have to remind also that the same Presidential Council with 9 members are only one woman with no right to vote. So when we think about if this transition is the real answer to what we expect as women and girls to resolve this situation, this crisis in the country, we know that we have long days as civil society to continue to work, to advocate, to fight every day. And unfortunately, this kind of crisis we are seeing in the country today, this is not, the answer will not come from the international community, from the civil society. It will come from all actors, of course, from all citizens, from a political will also. But we have to remind everyone every day that the real responsibility for security for being safe in our country, to have the right to vote, to have election, by example. Today, yes, we need policies, we need laws, but we have to remind people that we don't have a parliament in the country. We don't have a president. We don't have local power because we didn't have election for 10 years in the country. So where are the people we have to talk with about the policies, about the law, about pushing an agenda, a feminist agenda in Haiti? So it's hard at civil society because we are also facing this situation. We have members in our organization, they are displaced people. We have to leave our office every day, with the threat, with the attacks, with the, and the violence online, the violence from the population, the violence from other institutions. We have to face that, continue to do the work in the community, and continue to do the advocacy nationally and internationally. So to continue to do this work every day is because we know that the result will be for us as Asian women, but also for women, they can be in this kind of place. They can have this microphone to talk to people. They don't have access to some places. So we have to do the work, but it's hard. So I think we have to remind people, you have to do your work. You have to take your responsibility because we will continue to take our responsibility to remind you that it's your job for Asian women and for Asian girls. Thank you.
Mic drop. So either Natalie or Susan, I wanted to ask, what kind of leadership is necessary to be at the service of Haitian women? We're talking about the policy framework, and we can come back to explaining maybe more about that. But there is so much that is well written. As I said before, research is important, data is important, having expertise is really important. What is it that is perhaps not necessarily missing, but maybe needing some support or enhancement? What kind of leadership do you think is necessary? And in terms of the international context, loss of funding, loss of, Haiti's priority. People are saying, they're Haiti tired, fatigue. There's Haiti fatigue. Though we didn't create the Haiti fatigue, they're tired, but okay. So, just kind of your feedback, either of you on that. I smile when you say that. That's true. People keep saying whenever you go to a place and you say, I'm from Haiti, and everyone's, I'm so sorry. And we've been of course, today it's worse. This is something that we will ever see in our life from now. But we used to that because that means it's been a while now we're having this type of relationship. I'll say this. For now, we need we need a constructive international engagement to support feminist movement in Haiti by prioritizing local leadership, sustainable funding, and accountability partnership. I used to say that I'm very proud that I knew people like Magali Maslin, I knew Miriam Malé. I was young feminist activists. Those people took me under the aisle and teach me stuff. They did their work. One of the lessons learned that we have is when international community or international organizations say we support what they do, probably it's part of their strategy, they go to funding basket fund and then they give it to the international, they give it to the government, to the state. What's happening is, I love also listening to Haitian leaders saying that when the international came to the meeting, they have all the data. But what they forgot is they got their data from local organizations. We are on the ground doing the work that they should have done or they have to do. So when you take the money and give it to the state without first, the local organization, they don't know about it at all. So that means ever, even when we start asking for money to do the job they have to do, we look like people that begging for money. And we provide a service to the community, which is not normal. So we need this. And historically, we have experience. Today, Negespan is doing the work in Port-au-Prince. But guess what? We have the same gang violence in Artibonite. I have women that I work with in Kenskoff. Now I'm all over the place because most of the time I directed the gender violence survivors to Negespan. So what do? In Artibonite, I don't have that. We have economic programs to support these women. We don't have that. And these people, they don't use to this extreme kind of violence. That's part of the thing. So we need this. The second thing is we need long-term accountability, hinged on institutional reform and systemic shift. We need that. Don't let the local organization aside, discuss only with the state, and then ask us to do the job. This has to be something we need to be at the table. This is a must, this is an imperative. The third thing I will say is, I'm back, okay. It's a long-term accountability. I was saying that it's the near-term justice for survivor. I was saying this to Karen. It's not normal that the women that have been victim of rape, and I know a lot, to walk in the street and meet the same person, the perpetrators. It's not okay. We tend to, after crisis, we just brushed everything and keep moving. We cannot ask this. This trauma is too much. Negesma, Marie-Jeanne, they're having women, GBV survivors coming at them. They collect the data. What happened next? And we know that our justice system, it's been a while, it's corrupt. I want sugarcoating. It's corrupt and undefined. And literally, every judge or every lawyer now is a politician. So if we need really to support an organization, let's do something that all the local organizations are on the table. When you give money, we know, but we can have peer-to-peer organizational support. We have partnership with GDH. We have organization with IFES. Don't only support the state because we are on the ground doing the work for them. Yes, thank you so much for that.
So I could echo a lot of what Pascal and Laura has been said earlier, but one thing I would love to say is that when we talk about international community, can we define what is the role in Haiti? Because it's been like since before 1935, they've been trying to help the Haitian people. But what is the real role in Haiti? Are there to facilitate, empower community, support, or they are here to increase crisis? We've been working in a crisis situation as civil society that we didn't ask for. In fact, we beg, we protest, we white note, since I can even remember, to say we need to take another direction with the country, but they didn't listen. They are working with corrupt leaders, international organization in Haiti. Right now, I'm gonna give you a real example. Marie-Jeanne is receiving 100 of case every month. But when you see the kind of fund that our organization have right now, it's heartbreaking. Sometimes you have to use your own fund to do the work that we do. But this international organization who has like million in budget, they don't choose us because we're too radicals, if I can say that. We don't have experiences, we're too young, we talk a lot, or we complain a lot, or as I can say, we don't respect like the way they work.
Political respectability.
Indeed. So you talk about sustainable funding, and in a lot of places we've been talking a lot about that. But for international organization, and this is like for 5 years I've been sitting and meeting with them. And I know we need to do better. We can do better because they have the fund to do better. Strong partnership. I'm gonna give you an example. I have one organization that we were like trying to work with, and they were like, you can talk about abortion. We are a faith-based organization, which we understand. But if you want to work on the same level with us, you have to like respect also the kind of struggle that we've been dealing for decades. And when we talk about international community and international organization, we need to talk more about partnership, real partnership.
So I think the issue of international participation or agenda and how that either creates crisis or maintains us in crisis, or from crisis to other crisis, is something that's always going to come up. And certainly for locally led organizations, the issue of funding will always be something to talk about, because for us at the Haitian Women's Collective, it really has been, as I said in the beginning, these organizations and partners do amazing, wonderful work. We don't need to come in and do more work, but we're very clear, and it's shown that these organizations are brought to the table in a way that is helpful to those that receive the money, but they don't necessarily get the money, right? And so while a larger organizations that's very finessed and has all their systems in place, marketing, QA, HR, all those types of departments and support and capacity, right? And then they give the organization $100,000 and they throw them out to the wolves, so to speak, to do all of the work. And oftentimes they're not really given the recognition, the applause, the support. And for me, really, as a Haitian Women's Collective, that's the priority for me, really, about the fact that these local organizations do the work, and oftentimes nobody recognizes that. And the other piece of it is similar to what you said, Pascal, about it's the responsibility of the government. It is the responsibility of the government of Haiti to take care of the people of Haiti. And somehow that has been lost in conversation and so forth. And it's the same way for international larger organizations that enter the country and want to do work in the country. It is their responsibility to figure out how to best do it with civil society, right? It's not, we did this great report with data, but you forgot who got it for you, who went to the churches and to the groups and to the schools and to informal spaces, right, where folks hang out and talk, and right, to get that data. So I think that that's really important to lift up. We created and worked on, several of us here, a policy framework together also with the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, Madre, many organizations signed off on it. Pascal, can you tell us a little bit about the framework? I know you talked
already about the importance of civil society and so forth, and then we'll speak to Laura a little bit about that as well.
Yes, of course. As I said earlier, yes, we denounce, we protest, we work and everything, but the civil society, especially the feminist organization, we are doing the work of proposition, to contribute to what can be the solution to the crisis in this country. And we did this policy framework. We worked on it for months. And I want to say hello to Sasha in the room. We did a great work on the policy framework. Thank you, Sasha. And all the organization also, we were more than 150 organizations endorsing the policy framework. And it was because we wanted to see more women in this political transition in the country, not because we are begging, but because it's our place. And because we, as we said, we have this constitution with a minimum of 30% of women, a quota of minimum 30% of women in the country. So we propose this policy framework to see how women can have their real place in this political transition, but also after the transition, because as I said, we didn't have election in this country for 10 years. And we have to remind people also that in the last election, one of the biggest challenges for women to participate was the violence. Violence as candidate, and violence also as women who want to vote or to be part of the electoral process. Exactly. So when we can see the report of SOFA and other organizations, and other also international organizations doing electoral observation in the country, the violence was a key issue for women to participate in election in 2015. So we work on this policy framework to say that if we want to see the end of this crisis in this country, we want to have women thinking about what we need in this political transition and in the next election to have a legitimate government in the country. We did all the work, mobilizing all the organizations in the world. We met with the former Prime Minister Gary Coney. We met with the Ministry of Women's Rights. We met with other institutions, giving them this document, talking with them, saying that we are here also to help if they need, the civil society to contribute to the work. And unfortunately, for now, no result from this contribution for civil society, and it shows. We can see it in what happened in the country today. And we can't see where we will go in the next month, in the next year, with this way of doing election, with the situation, doing, a real plan to end GBV in the country, a real plan to end this security issue in the country. And this policy framework is here, giving guidelines that can help, this government of transition to address the lack of women in place, in power, during this transition. Because, as I said, in the CPT, we only have one woman with no vote in the presidential council. We have less than 20% women in the government of Alex Didier Fils-Aimé. And I think they have new, Nathalie, delegate and vice delegate, less than 10%, I think, of women. Okay, so it's the situation, and it's a country where we have thousands of cases of women rape each month in other countries, because we are saying only Port-au-Prince. But organizations working in other regions in the country, they are facing also a lot of challenges with women, victims of gang and insecurity. In other regions, Lot-Tibonite, Département du Centre, in the north, in the southeast of the country. So it's a national problem. It's a national problem. And as Nathalie said to finish, we want also to do beautiful pictures and beautiful events, talking about leadership, talking about, we want this too. It's beautiful on social media, it's beautiful on our platforms also. But when we are thinking about an event talking about leadership of women in Haiti, I have question about what is women's leadership actually. If it's only having women in places pushing personal agenda, or it's women doing the work for other women in the country.
Right.
This is my question. So when you are doing beautiful events in a country, talking about women's leadership as international community or as ministries, having a former minister of justice doing nothing for women facing violence and wait every day for months doing the government of Ariel Henry. If I'm in the room, I have question. I have question for you. What did you do with your leadership when you were in power? This is my question. I'm so happy having women in place. This is my fight. This is the fight of feminists.
You won't be in the room.
I want to be in the room. They don't want me in the room, but I want to be in the room. So this is my question, because I want to be clear. Sometimes when feminist organizations want to put pressure on political actors in the country, not only men, but all political actors, because it's a big crisis for women in the country, the idea is we don't really want women in power and leadership. No, this is not the issue. The issue is we want allies. We want people in place doing real things for Asian women. And our responsibility is to question you about what you are doing for Asian women. Not to be there for opportunities from you, not to be there for having funding from you because you are in power of, having favors, is to question you about what you are doing as a political actor in the country. We will continue to fight to have really more than 30% of women in place in power in the country.
30% is minimum.
It's a minimum, we have to remind them. But the real role and the responsibility of civil society is to push the state and the government to do their work every day, not only for Asian women, for the Asian population.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This policy framework really identified and established, looked at international laws and principles, the WPS agenda. Laura, I'd really like to hear and appreciate it before your sharing with us around Rwanda, which I'm saying it wrong now. Say it for me. Rwanda. Rwanda. Okay, for Rwanda. And I'd love to hear more about, what you think the international community, or if the community is doing enough for Haitian women and girls. And I know that's a heavy question, right? Because I think folks often feel, they do what they can. And there's a lot of twists and turns and politics and diplomacy and, what we can do, what we can't do in public spaces or behind closed doors and so forth. And what more differently could and should the community be doing, international community be doing?
Thank you. Despite the gravity of the situation in Haiti, the international community has not done enough, and attention has been diverted to other conflicts in other regions in the world. So we certainly agree with this perspective that the support is still significantly inadequate. For example, there's been a rush to support the Transitional Presidential Council despite it not having women, and yet we're talking about a women, peace and security agenda. The political decisions seem to be driven by an overwhelming urgency to address the human toll, violence and security crisis, and these are important, don't get me wrong, but they should not undermine the establishment of a just and democratic future for the country. And our sister eloquently talked about the governance deficits. Regarding areas of improvement, I think also the points have been very well made that there should be further investments in grassroots women voices, activists, feminists who have consistently documented the crisis and defended the rights of women and girls. They are seated here, we don't need to look further. And their voices should be amplified, especially during this period of political transition. alongside the declining humanitarian aid that threatens to undermine decades of progress in women's rights globally, internationally. Partners should be stepping up their efforts to fill gaps and support the sustainability and growth of autonomous women's rights movements in Haiti. So, as I said, this includes funding the grassroots women's organization, inviting Haitian women leaders to participate in high-level dialogues, and fostering the development of independent women's funds. This has been done in other countries. Furthermore, there should be increased calls for accountability regarding corruption allegations against certain, influences of power and leadership. So that's it.
Thank you. As you were speaking, I was just thinking about this sense of, women's involvement and how we often broadly say women, but the importance of feminist principles and guidance, right? And values and what we believe around that. So we talked a little bit about equality and government and the need for responsibility. Let's go back a little bit to the international engagement. We have our questions and thoughts here, but what would you like, I'll start with you, Suzanne, what would you like the international engagement in Haiti to look like? Natalie and I were at, it was UN Women, right? Last year in Antigua. And, when I spoke there, I said, if you've ever worked in Haiti and did something and it didn't work, please don't come back and do it again. It's okay. We're happy that you came to visit, move along, just keep it going, right? Because it kind of feels like it's the same thing over and over again, and we're having the same conversations, right? Which is frustrating, not to make light of it, but it's frustrating because these are people's lives we're talking about, right? We're really clear that we're sitting here. We didn't have to deal with gunshots to get here today. We were able to have a meal. We were safe getting here, right? We're together. But what is it that you would say for folks in the room or wherever that are engaging in Haiti, thinking about engaging, want to see things done differently? What would that look like? I'll start with Suzanne and then Natalie, I'll go to you.
I'm echoing what Pascal said. This is something that really, I'll pass the word. To make it simple, centering Haitian feminist expertise and addressing root causes. We cannot address issue if you got all the data, we meet with you, or you meet with us, and we tell you exactly what's happening, and then you go on another one having other strategy. It doesn't work that way. And I use the word, we've been stabbing in the back like this for more than a decade now. We cannot keep doing this. Because if you said, are we gonna support, let's say in my case, I work with rural women. Most of the time they don't own the land. And you said, I'm gonna support those bicameral commission senators. When I come to you and say, these women been working the land for so long, and we need support to pass this law, and you give the Senate, the commission group senators money to do the other thing, like, oh no, now we're gonna invest our money in bridges to on top of a river that no one lives around, like in 100 miles from this. It doesn't work at all. I have women that live in Lagonav. They have to walk 2 hours to get water. So when we talk about those type of things, and then we said, you need to listen to what we say. That's first of the thing. The second one is, for the international organizations, I'm sorry, I have to say it.
Sorry.
They have this tendency to have bilateral partnerships. It doesn't work. Even myself, when you said, okay, you work with rural women, we're gonna give you 50,000, 100,000. But I'm not the only one. I work only in Laguna, in Ilaval. There's so much organization working with rural women. I was talking about sustainable funding. Let's put a trust. Put the money there. Make call of application. This is something with transparency, because we love that. We love people to know we got this money from, not because we are friends, but because there was a call, we submit this, that's what we do. You come, you visit. One of the things that I hate, they visit and then they don't do nothing. It doesn't work. We want respect. We got a statement that on March 8th, 100% women get out. We want respect, dignity, and respect.
Okay. International engagement based on dignity and respect, and shared accountability too, right? Because sometimes I feel like local organizations are held to a higher standard than the organization that's receiving the millions of dollars for some reason. I'm watching time because the moderator does not want to get in trouble. So we have about 20 minutes. We will have time for question and answer with the amazing panel. Laura, I do want to ask you from your office, working on discrimination against women and girls, what about other UN or international entities? How do they play a role in all of this? How can we bring in more support and justice even for survivors? Particularly looking at, because I think because there's been so much of an increase in gender-based violence in Haiti, right? And these organizations are trying to do the best they can. But how do we strengthen kind of long-term GBV response and accountability, including in looking at kind of human rights issues, UN issues, and so forth? Thank you.
I mean, I can say very clearly on behalf of the working group that we will continue to monitor the developments as part of the United Nations charged with ending discrimination against women and girls. And in specific cases that are brought to our attention, we will communicate with the government in the various ways that I outlined, urging prompt investigation and access to justice during this time and after the conflict. With the other, in regard to the immediate needs of survivors of gender-based violence and sexual violence, we continue to urge UN agencies and international partners, as well as local organizations, to enhance their efforts to strengthen justice law and order institutions to provide psychosocial support. I think with justice, especially criminal justice, there can be the urge to just criminalize, to sentence the criminals and then little focus on the victims. So victim-centered justice is really critical, and from a gender-responsive lens. Medical care, including sexual and reproductive health care, is critical for survivors. And then reparations. There's a big question around reparations and other remedies. We are deeply concerned about the funding cuts on Haiti, and we are, urging other donors and the international partners to promptly address this gap. We are also aware that the UN Integrated Office in Haiti has recently collaborated with government on the judicial units aimed at prosecuting mass crimes, sexual violence, and corruption. But this requires significant technical, human, and financial resources and support to ensure that the full extent of sexual violence that has occurred and gender-based violence is implemented in a way that is meaningful for the survivors. Lastly, the establishment of a gender-responsive early warning system is really critical, taking into account significant indicators like decrease in women's leadership roles, hate speech, reduction of women in public spaces. These are just a few suggestions of what such a mechanism could look at. The working group will pledge to continue monitoring the situation closely, amplifying the voices and concerns of the community to the international audience. Thank you.
Pascal, is there anything else that you would like to add in terms of how the international community can, support the political participation of women in Haiti? I was having this conversation with Madre recently about, and I ask you guys all the time, so who's gonna run for president? Who's the Haitian woman that's gonna be the next? I know a few in the room that, we could maybe encourage, but who is that woman? And why aren't we talking about it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be at the highest of the presidency or prime minister, although I'd love to see that. But right, it's that leadership across the board, within government entities, but at the kind of community-based level also. What can the community, the international community in particular, what can donors do to get women, because there's been programs, there's been workshops, there's been leadership engagement, there's been all of these wonderful things written on paper and people have gone to. But with the understanding of the increase of violence in Haiti, with the understanding that the former president was killed in his own home, will women really participate? How do we get them to participate? I'm gonna give you 30 to 60 seconds. It's rough out here. But I'm the moderator. I want them to call me back next year. See,
Okay.
look, 15 minutes.
Okay,
go.
Not a lot to say. I think we have to create conditions for women to concretely participate at any levels as candidate, at all the levels of the electoral process, as women who want to vote, who want to campaign. We have to create the material condition. It's money. First of all, it's money, because we know what happened in this country during elections periods. It's all about money, it's all about violence. And as we said, the reports, they are here. We know the challenges, we know the issues. We're supposed to address the real issues and the real challenges for women in our context in Haiti, to give them the opportunity to really participate in this process. And the process is not only 3 days, 3 weeks. It's an ongoing process to help them, be having, their ID to participate, the security to participate, the information to participate. We did, I think Monique Kleska did a survey 2 years ago about how we saw less women in media during the crisis after the Petro-Caribe challenge because of the violence. After the assassination of Antoinette Duclair, our sister and colleague, a lot of women activists in the country, political women activists in the country, but also women doing politics in the country. For example, Antoinette Duclair was a political woman in the country. Because of the violence, the threat of the Petro-Caribe challenge, but also the threat on our families, people we love, it's really difficult to continue to do this work. We don't have the money, to compete with women who can attack us, kill us in the country. The protection we need, the resources we need, the information we need to really participate and to compete with people who want to do politics in the country. So
it's a multi-layer approach. It's not as simple as
definitely
women
it's a
to
complex
the table.
situation.
It's very complex.
Yeah.
Suzanne, you want to add one thing?
Yes, I'll add this. When people talk about participation, you talk about like being candidates, stuff like that. But women participate. In the election in 2016, women were 42% voters. Then there were 27 men, 27% men. So they have real interest in politics because they know how challenging for them to be part of the things. But what I would say also is, I want people to understand it's not having women being candidates. Pascal already said it. I'll leave it. this is something that I really don't understand. We had women that was in the Senate that don't vote a law because she was a married woman. So we need to address the fact that social norm and these faith organizations is doing as well.
So the issue of
Difficult
feminist principles
conversation,
and
but
It's
yeah,
a difficult
it's important.
conversation. We can address it. We have to address it. We've been addressing it as feminists, but this is something that broadly people need to understand. You
Okay.
can have a political party having 30% of women. They are women. They call them group of women. So
They're not necessarily feminists.
there we go. And then they don't really understand they are against abortion, against
Right, all of it, LGBT, all of that.
exactly.
We're gonna go to questions and answers in the room because we don't have a whole lot of time. And I think Natalie, you might have to answer the first question now. So, I saw a hand here. Yes, please.
Yeah, hi. One of the things I think you're not, I'm from California for Haiti Action Committee, and and the National Lawyers Guild. One of the things I think you're not talking about is you can't have all of this with the level of violence, and the international community, unfortunately, has contributed for the last 20 years to the level of violence. Why are there more than, the UN has documented 750,000 small weapons in Haiti? Where are they coming from? Most from
The US.
From the US. They're coming from the US. So if the international community is responsible for the violence, then how do you see actually ending the violence so that women can participate in all the ways, and also dealing with the trauma that's going to result in this massive gender-based violence, which isn't just about what do you do with a society where you have men, young boys, basically teenagers, raping, and then they have to go back and they've had this experience, so it's a complete mess. So
Right.
yeah, and
I would
also
just
I have
wanna
a
say,
statement
I
I'd
don't
like
want
to
us
pass on.
I don't want us to leave this room without saying that we know that guns come from the U.S. into Haiti, and that if the U.S. wanted to stop
That's right.
guns coming into Haiti, then they would do
That's
that.
right.
That's one. And two, I think that anyone who is a feminist in certain around the world globally, right? We know that militarization doesn't work, and I think what you're saying is really what's the peace roadmap, if you will, right? How do we get to the other side of all of this? So I'll pass this to Natalie, and then we'll take another question.
So I'm gonna start by saying that the international community, and especially the US, the US is really a violent country. They have violence policy also, and one thing I think they need to address when it comes to Haiti is the fact that they need to decolonize their policies and practice when it comes to Haiti. Then we can start having a conversation. I'm looking at what's happening on the world right now, and we see when the US have a real friendship, what it means. Like Israel, sometimes Ukraine. I don't know if I can say that today, but it was
It's a day by
yeah,
day
it's
thing.
now it's a day by day.
It's a mood thing.
So we can see what it's mean to them when they have real friendship and when they respect and treat other country with dignity. We cannot having any conversation about violence if we don't put the way that US operate as a country in itself, the kind of policy that they have, the racism, okay, and we need to start by here talking about that before we're talking about violence in Haiti. And yes, the gang violence that we have right now in Haiti, the U.S. not the U.S. because we can talk also about Canada and the French government also. It's not only the U.S. They have a lot of part of this, starting by the way that they work in the work and promote corrupt leaders in our country. Leaders that can kill us when they want. Leaders that can save our lives when they want also. So yeah, I don't know.
Good. Yeah, thank you. And leaders that are sanctioned but still get to live their best lives, right? With the money of the people of Haiti, right? So that there's always that. Another question, gentleman here.
Yes. My name is Dr. Steve Kufo. I'm with Naya TV. I'm very happy to hear statements from the distinguished panel. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, what is the role of self-defense groups like Calais? Are they an alternative to the gang problem in Haiti? Can Haitian people organize self-defense groups to get rid of the gangs? Is that possible?
Pascal?
It's really a complex conversation because the self-defense group, they're on both sides. The population has to defend itself because the national police, the state, the MMS and everything doesn't work. For now, by example, I think each people on this table can testify a situation in our family with people, with displaced people. My mom is a displaced person. My family is a displaced family for now. I know that Natalie has members of her staff displaced. We have killed. Exactly. So the staff of Fondation Toya and everything. I guess Mao has to leave. We have to leave our office 2 months ago because of the violence involved. Yes. So I know neighborhood where people have to organize themselves to defend themselves against the gang, but it can be also really dangerous. 2 months ago, I have to send 2 members of my staff to take 2 other members of my staff in a national police, I ought to say that commissariat,
Precinct police.
a police station, because they were in the neighborhood doing service, and a group of self-defense attacked them. There were only 2 women, 20 years old. They attacked them. They didn't kill them because they were women, but they were with, everything, badge and everything, doing their work. So we have a national police. We have an army also.
I think
We do have one.
we do have
It's millions of dollars for a multinational force.
That's right.
Why they are putting the population in a situation where they have sometimes to become criminals to defend. I saw videos with children participating in killing people. I don't know, as a human rights, it's complex, but we have to defend ourselves, we have to survive, and I understand.
Let me
I'm
Let me
going
make a difference for him.
But-
We need to understand
30
about
seconds.
guns, etc., because she
30.
mentioned it. Even if Haiti, we still have all these guns, Haiti has restriction to buy guns. That means the Haitian government, they still have the restriction. They still have, and it's a long one. They still have restriction to buy guns themselves. So it's kind of a complex, as we said.
I also think to that question that the government of Haiti has a responsibility to protect its people, right? When we bring in, I don't even remember what, every time how much it's costing us to bring in the MSS, the multinational peacekeeping, right? Where's all that money? How is that all kind of working out? So I just wanted to kind of highlight that also. We are going to close out with our last, oh boy, somebody has a question and we might need an extra few minutes. I'm going to ask this wonderful lady here. Last question.
All right. I'm Berta Olayinka. I am a researcher. The key point that has not been mentioned is the people or groups or organizations that have international, in other words, they control the gold coming out of Haiti and other minerals that are around Haiti. And they want to continue to have it happen. I've got enough information on that, and you can't consider how to get around this without looking at those organizations that have the monetary interest of keeping things as they are because they have interest in the minerals.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I know the panel would want to answer, but we have an expert in the room around that, Gabriela Poulon, who's here with us. And I know there's a study that has come out around mining and so forth in Haiti, and certainly you all can perhaps connect and share. My last question to the group, each of you, Laura, we're going to start with you on this question also. I just feel like I should, sister to sister here. In your work, what gives you hope and what keeps you going, right? I'm sure you could be doing other things, but why this work is important and what keeps each of you, please, what hope that you have, what gives you hope, what keeps you fighting.
I have to say that, and this has been a big theme for me all week, but women's activism and young women and older women's activism, their sacrifices is what gives us, they're the shoulders that we stand on even as a mandate. We believe that the work that they're doing is incredible, it is much needed, it is in keeping with international human rights frameworks and the spirit of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we are happy to hold hands with them and to further amplify their voices, their visions, and their aspirations through our mandate. And we really commit to continuing to do that in the Haitian experience.
Thank you. Well, thanks for being with us today. Pascal, what gives you hope, keeps you fighting?
Do you know the story of my country? Do you know the story of the feminist movement in my country? That gives me hope and keeps me fighting.
Thank you.
The sorority. I've lived it in 2010 after the earthquake, and I've seen it. I've lived it now with I call them my ladies. When you have 50 women from Solino that have been relocated in Keskov, after all the things that have been happening in Keskov, I still have hope.
So for me, it's really the friendship that you create along the way when you do this kind of work. The sisterhood, the way you can count on others, that really give me hopes. And lastly, I think it's the girl optimism. When you see that they still dream about Haiti, they still have hope, and they can really experience joy, that really gives me hope. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the
Corinne,
hope
how
is
about
from
you?
all of you being here and giving Haiti a level of importance today. You could be somewhere else. There are so many sessions going on, so I appreciate that. That gives me hope. It gives me hope that this younger generation will fight through this, and that the history of Haiti is not for anything. We're not the first Black republic for nothing, right? And so taking that, and I think them as partners and our other partners in Haiti and just the great work that they do, and all of you who just support and fight and continue to connect with us and obviously connect with them, that gives me hope. Thank you all for coming today. We appreciate it.